go to some meeting, so. Don't really get put by discussion. All right.
Don't ask her, she'll know it. Don't ask her.
Yeah, look at this word list, this name. That's not what I found.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, there's a name on here and I had to search for it.
Huh, when did that come up? I don't.
I don't, somebody said it.
Oh, maybe they spoke to him.
What somebody has to do is say something wrong. There.
Unfortunately, she did. Yeah. First.
I didn't want to make that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's.
Not making any noise.
Doesn't matter. You're like a mouse to the owl. Always watching.
I noticed that last week. Because people
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah. They'd like to focus in on this.
Well, and I saw me then because it was behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, even when someone's talking, it's got three of us
then it comes back to you, and then vice versa. Maybe it's because of the typing.
There isn't any.
Yeah,
Can you hear this?
sometimes I can hear something, not much, not very much.
I've added keys for that reason.
All right. Right, I heard the cuckoo chime. So let's get started, everyone. We'll be off the record here, but welcome. This is the Whitewater Solar application for a photoelectric generation facility. My name is Michael Newmark. I'm the Administrative Law Judge for the Public Service Commission. That's the state agency that's reviewing the application of Whitewater Solar. The Public Service Commission's been around in one form or another since 1874. And it regulates utility service, including the approval of large electric generation facilities. So what the commission has been doing for a number of years now has been processing this application. We've gotten to the point where we have a record created in the case for the commission to review, and part of that record is going to be your public comment. So let me just back up about that a little bit. So the commission is run by 3 commissioners, and they will review this application and decide the issues in this case. They meet in open meeting and they vote on each issue. And once they've decided the issues and they have the authority, I don't think I said this, they have the authority to approve the application, approve with modifications, or deny the application. So they go through the issues and they come up with a result. Then a written order is issued. It's posted on the commission's website and emailed to the service list, all the parties in the case. So what we did last week is we reviewed the filings, the written filings of the parties and commission staff, and we allowed the witnesses who submitted those filings. They were subject to cross-examination. That was a 2-day hearing up in Madison. And then all that documentation that I received for the record will be presented to the commissioners. Commissioners can only make their decision based on the record evidence. So they can't take other extraneous information to persuade them. They have to look at only at the record. So, and that's my job, is to create the record and pass it on to them. So we took care of the parties and commission staff last week. This week, it's time to hear from the public. So just a note, anyone who is participating as a party should not be here to participate today as a member of the public. You either are a party or you're a member of the public. You can't cross those things. However, there are some people who intervened in the case as a party but didn't participate. I can allow them to make a comment as a member of the public if they withdraw as a party. So that's the prerequisite. If you want to come up here and say, I signed up as a party, but I didn't do any participation as a party, I just want to make a comment now, I'll let you do that, but you will no longer be a party if you do so. So just a note there. So anyway, as we process the application, we have all the information for the parties. Now we can take public comment. So how we do that is today, just coming up and speaking your comment, or you can file a written comment. And so just so you know, if you do want to make a spoken comment here today, you want to fill out this form and appearance slip. They're all outside at the table with commission staff. Fill out your name and then check the Speak Now Yes box. Then staff will give me your form and we'll have it up here at the table. Basically, I'm just going to read out the names, have you come up, have a seat, I'll swear you in, get your name for the record, and you just give us your opinion on the case. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do today, hear from the public and your opinions. So if you do have a question you'd like answered, we have commission staff here on that side, and we have the applicant over on that side. They can answer your questions. If you have anything specific you want to know before you make your comment, get those answers and then come up with more with your information you want to give us. So I can't answer your questions on the spot here, but I'm giving you that opportunity to ask your questions amongst the staff and the applicant, and then come up with the information when you make your comment. So, or the lack of information. You tell us we don't know. They couldn't answer this question. That's fine too. So that's speaking a comment. You can also write your comment right on the form and pass it back to staff. We have more pages if you need more pages. or you can file your comment online. There's a link and a QR code. It'll get you right to the comment website page. And then there's the address for mailing a comment. So comments are due on the 11th. So we need to get those in by Friday. Right now we have 234 comments on file. Those are the ones that came in on and after the date the notice of hearing was issued. So it was May 14th up until July 11th. Well, those are the comments that are being offered for the record. I'm going to review them. So there may be, like, if you have an exact duplicate, I won't put both of those in, but most of these comments, I'll review the comments and then send the ones that I will accept to the commissioners. So we have, and then when you speak a comment, well, we're transcribing what you say. The transcript will be what the commissioners read. So just so you get a sense of who your audience is, I mean, the people you want to persuade are those three commissioners. They're going to read the comments. So whether you file a written comment, mail us a comment, or speak it today, they're going to read that comment, that statement you made. So a couple of ground rules. We need to have people, only one person speaking at a time, so the court reporter can hear who's speaking and get your comment in accurately. So I'd appreciate no interruptions, no phone calls, or ringing of your phones. Also, please no applause or boos. We want to give everyone a chance to comment, and all comments will be considered. I want to give everyone the opportunity to do so and feel comfortable doing that. Just be respectful to everyone. Common courtesy goes a long way here. I know there may be, there's passion on both sides here, mostly on the against side. I think the passion is in this case, but we just want to make sure everyone feels comfortable making their comment. Then we move on and get through all the comments we have. Also, we have a Spanish interpreter for people who want to speak a comment in Spanish. We can provide that service for you, and she'll be interpreting back into English for the transcript. So anyone who wishes to make a comment in Spanish, I'm just going to point our interpreter out to everyone. So just go and meet her first, and then we'll be able to accommodate you in your primary language. So otherwise, I got a lot of stuff going on here, as you can see. Zoom, live streaming, and everybody here. So I may be paying it. I'm unfortunately, instead of paying exclusive attention to the person sitting here, I may be fiddling with the computer. So I apologize if it looks like I'm distracted. Try to keep that to a minimum, but I got to do things like people in the Zoom and make sure everything's running okay. So, just wanted to give you a note of that. I think I got everything covered here. So we're going to call our first witness, and you'll see how it's done here. I'm going to call Ryan Dion from the city of Whitewater, and you can start off with you. Turn the screen share off. So let me swear you in first. Raise your right hand.
Do we need to stand?
No, it's okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, state your name and give us your comment.
Yeah. My name is Ryan Dion, D-I-O-N. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for Whitewater Fire and EMS. I do have a memo that I'd like to get entered today.
Yeah, you can hand that to me when you're done.
Great. And just to make a few comments, being that this proposed project is not organic, say, to the city of Whitewater, I don't see anything about it like through the CDA or the PARC or any sort of approval process like that. However, we do serve the townships. They contract with us for service with the city of Whitewater. So with that being said, I've coming up on 20 years of doing fire prevention. That's one of my purviews with this department. And oftentimes in concept, we talk about growing an apple tree, and by the time the garden grows, it ends up as a grapevine. And that's just something I wanted to address here. So I'd like to read this, if I may. The City of Whitewater Fire and EMS Department currently provides service by contract.
Just speak slowly, so she's typing over.
I'll slow it down. The City of Whitewater Fire and EMS Department currently provides service by contract to the township areas included in this proposed project. While the current plan does not specifically mention battery energy storage systems, we feel it prudent to disclose that we do not have a hazardous materials team organic to the City of Whitewater Fire and EMS Department. This service is provided at the county level from the Walworth County Hazmat Team and mutual aid agreements with other county and regional hazmat teams. While the response from these external teams would occur in an expeditious manner, the response time would certainly reflect the distance these incoming teams must travel to assist our agency. We do not have any large-scale mobile or clean agent extinguishing systems in our fleet. Our suppression agent would be water. We do not possess the capability to stop or contain water runoff that would occur as a result of fire suppression efforts, given a large-scale thermal runaway propagation from a storage facility should one become part of this project. This could result in contaminants like nickel, manganese, cobalt, fluorinated compounds, polycyclic hydrocarbons, and other hazardous byproducts of TRP, which is thermal runaway propagation, being released into the surrounding environment to include waterways and groundwater. The reason for me including this is when I did the brief review that I have access to, like just everybody in this room, it often cites other associated facilities, and I couldn't find a clear adaptation of what exactly other. It does not specifically mention battery energy storage, but we did want, in the interest of transparency, to let everybody know for a facility of that magnitude, we're a small combination department, half career, half part-time. We're just not equipped for it. Okay. And I'd like to get this under.
Yes, okay, I'll take that. So you're handing me a letter dated July 9th, 2025 from Assistant Chief Ryan Dion, Whitewater Fire EMS. So I'll attach that to your appearance slip and it'll be in the record.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much.
Apologize for the speed.
Okay, so off the record, hearing something else in the room here. We can't have other things, devices or ringing things. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Dawn Roca. Hey there, raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. State your name and give us your comment.
My name is Dawn Rocha, R-O-C-H-A. My name is Dawn Rocha, and I'm here on behalf of my daughter, my siblings, their spouses, and children. Not to mention neighborhood families that we have known our entire lives. My late parents purchased a 60-acre homestead back in 1959. They gave us all a piece of land in which we built homes on. Our happiest of living on Bluff Road has been a huge boil of turmoil since August of 2024, when we, the residents of Bluff Road, Highway 59 areas, were firstly informed of the Whitewater solar project. We property owners of these two areas received a postcard in the mail not even 1 week prior to the scheduled meeting of Ranger Power wanting to place solar panels on the farmland that is directly across and around our properties. The landowners who have opted to lease their land for this utility have every right to do with it as they choose. I understand the cost of putting in and harvesting crops. What I do not understand or agree with is that all of us landowners have been in the dark for years about this project's intention. Why were we not made aware of this back in 2021 or even earlier when they were asked to lease their land? Not one of those people who lease their land has to live around it or look at the solar fields. They are not directly affected by the noise it will bring, the additional heat generated around the panels, the poor maintenance of the landscape around the fields, the standing water present with runoff of rains. I can guarantee if the Hoffman family had their homes where the Dre's homesteads are located, they would have never agreed to lease that 32-acre piece of land. On Woodward Road, there are 4 Hoffman families living just like the Dre's children are. The Coyles farm would have never leased the land to the left, the right, or behind his home. But he has leased it on Bluff Road for his tenant to have all around him. Judge, I'm not sure if you have driven around the location of this said solar farm, but if you had not, have not, I would ask you that you take the time to do so. There are so many other areas in which solar panels can be placed. We are concerned about the environmental factors, but our lives are based around our homes. No one will want to purchase a home that sits directly across from a solar farm. Our property values will decrease. We residents along Bluff Road manicure our properties very well and take pride in them. Our property is the legacy of our children. We do not understand why we as property owners must obtain permits, pay for rezoning costs, but the utility company can get away with taking us to the state level right away without having to have it passed through town and county boards. Whitewater has always prided itself on the beautiful aspects of the Kettle Moraine area. We sit outside nightly and watch the deer in these fields across from our homes. We sometimes see as many as 5 to 10 of them. This will no longer happen once the panels are put in place and the 8-foot fences are installed. The deer will not have those fields to eat from, rest in. They will find their way to the road where they will be slaughtered on the sides of the road. Not to mention, Wisconsin has its fair share of storms and tornadoes. When a tornado rips through Bluff Road or Highway 59, whose panels in those fields end up on our private property? Who's responsible for the cleanup and disposal of those panels? Will it be the property owner or the utility? One of our local farmers recently held the dairy breakfast at their multi-generational farm. Thousands of people came to that special event. The Cowalter farm has been one of the top dairy herds in the entire state of Wisconsin. The noise from the solar panels will have a profound effect on their milk production, not to mention the heat that comes off the land underneath those panels. Our neighbors, the Schwartzberger, have horses. They will be directly next to the field of panels. The Tillets are surrounded by panels, substations. Our beautiful community is no longer that for us who reside in those fields in which are being constructed of panels. With the COVID pandemic of 2020, depression and anxiety are at an all-time high. Now compound that with the solar panels. Do we want to set those people with medical diagnoses over the edge? Are they concerned about the health issues that could be linked to the solar panels? Are we not concerned about the well-being of these citizens that are now mandated to deal with the possible additional health risks associated with the placement of this solar farm? Do you truly know the implementation of how the implementation of these panels will affect our private property wells? Will it contaminate our wells? We have a volunteer fire department. Are they equipped to deal with the battery fires? Obviously, from what we heard from the man just before me, no, we're not. Where will the funding come from? The taxpayers is where I assume. I do not think that everyone here is against solar energy. We are against the idea of taking top farmland out of use and replace it with solar panels. We are taking away the homes of the animals. We are taking away the beauty of what the Kettle Moraine brings to Whitewater. The flow of people that come and bike along Bluff Road, the amount of wildlife present on any given day. We are taking away the beauty of the land. There are so many other places that these panels can be placed. We are fortunate to have people like Yvette and Margaret who have given their sweat and tears to trying to fight this project. We have been flooding the PSC with comments hoping to deter this project from moving forward here in Whitewater. As I read the comments on the PSC website, so many of these pro-solar people are not even from this area. They live in Milwaukee, Madison, Lake Geneva. They are not active community people. They are not the ones in direct contact with the panels. They are not affected by the tax increases and they are not being stripped of the places they call home. They have no idea the impact this utility will have on Whitewater. The power generated is going to the Milwaukee area, correct? Is Whitewater even benefiting from this project? I beg of you to see the potential harm for this community should this project be approved. I think the injustice to the community and one being that we will never recover from. Please take into consideration all the negative items brought forth to you today, as well as the unknown and unresearched potential for harm that could come from the placement of this solar farm. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Can I keep that? I just want to be able to check some of the names. right, next up is Jody Aaron. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, name and comment.
My name is Jody Aaron, last name is A-R-O-N. I live on Parker Road. I will have solar panels surrounding our property on the south and the west. And my concern lies in the fact that while we believe in property rights for the farmers that are taking part in the project, we are concerned about our property's flooding possibilities. We're concerned about the noise from the inverters. We're concerned about the noise projected during construction. I have a state licensed family child care center that has been there for the last 12 years, but I've been in business for 25. I have concerns for those children and the noise levels that will be projected from that. So that's it.
Thanks very much. So Adam, can you keep the door open or is there noise out there? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure people know it's open. All right. James Aaron. Swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Name and comment.
James Aaron, A-R-O-N. I'm going to echo what my wife just spoke about. One of the things that we've done is we have met with the solar farm project manager, and he was great. He was great under fire the other night. However, he also knows that I vehemently disagree with the project as a whole. Some of the things that have not yet been addressed are the water runoff issues that my wife has discussed. Not had anything discussed as far as a solution for the noise. There are some things being bantered around, but that's still not being resolved yet. I understand that the project's still underway and there's still final things to be taken care of. But then we also have the issue of the trees that we planted in the back 12 years ago when we purchased the land, and the idea of a setback needs to be taken care of, because one of the things that's not being taken or talked about is We Energies is eventually going to take over this project. After a certain time period, they're going to sell it to We Energies, but I don't see anybody from We Energies here to tell us how they're going to help us take care of this so it doesn't affect our property values in a negative or positive way. Right now, Whitewater Solar is the one taking care of all of the answering of the questions and making the promises and doing all this, but then We Energies is nowhere to be found. So just wanted to echo the same concerns that my wife had with the water runoff, the noise, the potential damage to the trees that we have in our backyard that are away from the road, that have no public right of way or easement. And yeah, that's about it.
Great, thanks. Let's go off the record for a second. So we did 5 people in the room. I was going to switch over to Zoom just to check. We have a few people connected. And I just want to be off the record for a second. I'm going to make this a little smaller because we have been Zoom bombed on occasion. So the person connecting here just had to put a number as their name. So let me just check and make sure we're okay. Usually that's also. Okay, great. So so the person who just connected, they just have a screen name with a number 12629. You just let me know who you are. You're connected to the Whitewater Solar public hearing. Let's go to unmute. Okay, we'll hold off on that. So let me see. We have let's take Chris. Is it Momert? Did you want to make a comment, Chris? You're connected to Zoom. Chris, can you hear me? Go ahead and speak. I see you're unmuted, but I don't hear you. How about Joan Shen?
Are you hearing my dogs?
Yeah, I hear your dogs. Yep,
Yeah.
there-
Okay. No, I have no comment. Thank you.
Okay, no comment. All right. Let me just. This could be a little awkward. Dogs always want to chime in. Okay, Joan Shadell.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
All right. So I'll give you people a chance at the end if they do want to check back with us. I'll check back with you in case you change your mind. That's right. And Ken, you connected to Zoom. Did you want to comment? I'm just going to unmute you. Any comment from Ken? No, all right. Well, how about that number 12629? You're unmuted, but I haven't heard anything from you. Yeah, all right. I'm going to mute you guys now. Well, Katie, you just joined us. Did you want to comment? Katie girls? Scared them away. All right, switch back to the room. So I just wanted to mention, so for the person who connected with just a number, I'm going to need to disconnect you. I can't identify you. You could just chime in if you can. Otherwise, if you could reconnect with the name instead of a number, I'm going to disconnect you now. And there is an opportunity to file written comment in case we miss you doing a live comment. Okay, let's go back to the room. So we have Phil Collins next. Pam, sorry, thanks for saying that. Phil Collins, I've been listening to some Phil Collins lately. That's fine. And then Bid, it looks like Saransky, Brad. Okay, and then Molly Hilderner. Hilderer. All on deck. Okay, so Pam, right? I got
Yeah.
Okay, great. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. State your name correctly, please, and give us your comment.
Pam Collins, and I'm here from the Darien Township. I own a property there, along with 3 of my children live very near the solar farm plant that was put up in Darien. So now they're telling us, and the reason I'm telling you all this is because it was unknown to us. They're telling us the solar plants are only at 3% output of energy. Now they're telling us they have to come in with a natural gas plant to put in. Do you know what this is going to do to people's residents, the value of them, not to mention the health hazards that come along with putting a natural gas plant in, not to mention your fire department very well. I'd like to speak to him if he's still here when he's done. We have reached out to Tyler August and all of our local representatives that we have elected to listen to our voices. We've reached out to the county today. Walworth County said they did not know anything about it. Everybody is putting up the stop. Not us, not us. Then they said, reach out to the PSC. I want you people to listen to what we're saying. We do not want this. The solar panels are enough to walk out when you have a 5-acre farmette and you think you're going to have peaceful wildlife. You're looking at green crops growing up. Now we're looking at solar panels. Now they want to do a natural gas plant. I would really be checking if that's what they're going to follow up the project here in Whitewater, because it is not what we want. It's not what we need. The people that are putting this in, it's not in their backyard. One person told me at Tyler August's office today, he said, people can buy land and do whatever they want with it. Would you be happy, I said to him, if this was in your backyard? Would you be happy if this was in your backyard? I'm just letting you know everything that we've had to go through. We cannot reach out to anybody that can give us any help. I have a petition. If any of you have not signed my petition, please stop by and sign it before you leave. We're asking for all the help that we can get.
All right, thanks very much. Is it Brad? and then Molly, and then Joe Lutagrio. Lutagrio. Hey, close enough. You get to correct me, don't worry. All right. Raise your right hand. Right other right hand. Do you swear or affirm to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Give us your name and comment. Speak to the mic.
My name is Brad Saransky. I live in the town of Whitewater. My background is I came from a metro area 30 years ago when I worked my butt off by 30-acre parcel with a house that needed a can of gasoline and a match for a remodel. And I've worked over these last years to make something out of this little place. And it's all simple little people that are just grinding out a living that are ones that are going to have this foisted upon us. And the people that say, well, it's your land, you can do anything with it. If I went to the Township of Whitewater and said, I want to take my 30 acres and turn it into 25 homes parcels, they'd say, no. But the solar company comes along and says, if you give us this, we'll give you $900,000 every year. They just bought that. They didn't do that for the good of the people. They did that for the good of the township, or the city gets more money. So they bought that. They bought that. You can't, as a private citizen, I can't do what I want with my land, but they can get a zoning rate for something that pays the city. It all comes down to money. So questions that I wrote into when we could write in, I asked them about the noise and the increase in the surrounding temperatures and the radiation issues and biohazards from fires or from the panels themselves, and the property values. And the response we got is, we've done studies on all those and everything's fine. And you go, who did the study? Well, the people that want to put in the solar fields did the study. If I was doing a study on something, I'm sure I could find the answers I wanted to find. So, to say that your property values aren't going to go down is just, it's like gaslighting. If you want to buy a rural property, you don't want to buy a rural property next to a solar installation. It's an industrial installation. It's a fenced-in area with humming solar panels. So that's a real kick in the shorts for people. And so in closing, I go, the people that are really affected by this are usually just ordinary one-by-one working people that don't have the ability or the resources to go out and get the kind of legal team that they would need to fight this. You can go and you can fight against this company that's a huge company that has probably a team of lawyers that can look up things and squelch just about any argument you have. And the fellow that installs the field, he just looks in the eye and says, well, I just build solar fields, it's my job. But he's wrecking people's lives in his job. His job ruins people's lives or greatly alters their lives for a detriment, and that he just looks at you like a deer in the headlights when he's telling you that. So I'm sure he's heard this from every place he's gone, but that's the reality of it. You're taking people's livelihoods and their futures and their retirement, and you're going, well, yours isn't worth very much, but the city gets $90,000 every year, or $900, or whatever that number is, that they can do what they want with. And the guy that lives by the ninth hole of the golf course never has to look at it. So it's awfully frustrating to try to find out this at the tail end, knowing that this was all in the barrel before they ever brought it to the public. So it's done kind of in the shadows and behind the boards and in closed door meetings. And then here we sit at the 11th hour going, well, let's try to fight this. It's, I don't think it's very democratic, and I don't think it's very above board. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. Molly. Hinder. I just had to slow down. All right, so Joe and then Lori Hoyt. Right, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, give us your name and your comment.
My name is Molly Hinderer. I'm a resident of LaGrange Township. I want to thank the PSC staff for coming in from Madison, so thanks for being here to listen. I've been looking forward to making public comments regarding the proposed solar project. My husband and I recently relocated here, driven by a shared dream of living in the countryside, growing our own food, and with the hope of eventually purchasing farmland to raise our family on. We are expecting our first child in just a few months. Instead of preparing for motherhood with peace and optimism, I find myself overcome with anxiety and fear regarding this project. A utility-scale solar installation proposed on over 1,000 acres of prime agricultural land adjacent to the Kettle Moraine. My concerns are rooted in personal and public interest, and I urge the PSC to deny the certificate that was filed, or at a minimum, require an environmental impact statement and an extended period for public review. I believe the name Whitewater Solar is misleading. The project is not a locally managed initiative like I originally thought. When I first heard of it, I figured maybe somebody wanted to install panels for energy purposes. But as I learned more, I learned it was backed by Ranger Power and its parent entity, Dursey, a hedge fund from New York City. The project branding gives a false impression of a community-driven effort, when in reality, the developers have actively withheld critical information from the local public. My household received notice of the project's open house only after the event had already taken place on June 25th. The failure to properly notify local residents violates the spirit of transparent community engagement and undermines public trust. The open house flyer also failed to mention significant changes to the project, which were submitted in June of 25. Inconsistent and contradictory maps further confuse the public. The interactive map on the project website does not align with the maps available through the PSC ERF, which is the electronic records filing system. Setbacks, parcel outlines, and staging areas are either incomplete or missing, making it nearly impossible for residents to understand how close this project will be to their homes. I looked up the docket last night, and many public comments are being submitted by individuals outside the local community, which I know others here have mentioned tonight. My inclination is that they were prompted by a group called Renew Wisconsin on their website. They had listed to recommend that people comment publicly in favor of solar. But again, looking at the locations of these people, I kind of found it ironic and almost comical that people from Racine and Milwaukee and Madison were commenting on it. I just urge the PSC staff to highly consider the locals' input on this. Just this week on July 7th, our president did sign an executive order to eliminate subsidies for unreliable green energy resources like wind and solar. I'm going to quote directly from the White House website. Unreliable wind and solar energy sources displace affordable, dispatchable energy. They compromise America's electric grid, and they denigrate the beauty of our nation's natural landscape. Reliance on so-called green subsidies threatens national security by making the U.S. dependent on supply chains controlled by foreign adversaries. I believe the PSC is required to evaluate whether or not any energy priority law alternatives are cost-effective, technically feasible, and environmentally sound. I believe this project fails that test. According to Dave Walsh, an energy consultant and former president of Mitsubishi Power Systems, in an email to our Senator Ron Johnson, he wrote that this development is projected to generate a net output of only 38 megawatts, a capacity that could be matched by a gas-fired plant occupying just 10 acres at 1/5 of the expense. In doing my own research, I came across a group on Substack called the Energy Bad Boys, and this is where I learned about MISO, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, and NERC, which is the North American Electrical Reliability Corporation. They released a statement saying, MISO is at elevated risk of operating reserve shortfalls during periods of high demand or low resource output, as solar output diminishes earlier in the day, leaving variable wind and more limited amount of dispatchable resources to meet demand. So I have yet to be convinced that solar is even an appropriate form of energy power, or energy, excuse me. As an expectant mother, I'm deeply concerned about the health and safety risks posed by this project. I worry about chronic exposure to EMFs and stray voltage, constant sound pollution from inverters and transformers, traffic and safety risks from construction vehicles on Bluff Road, Highway 59, Sweno Road. I have stress and anxiety affecting my pregnancy and my mental health, to be honest. I'm envisioning taking my child on a walk down the road and thinking, well, if only my baby would look right and not left so they don't have to see the panels. Wildlife movement patterns will be disrupted, increasing the risk of vehicle-animal collisions and decreasing opportunities for subsistence hunting. My husband and I rely on harvesting deer near the state forest to feed ourselves. These animals pass through the fields in question and their habitats would be destroyed. This project is also adjacent to numerous artesian wells, springs, and sensitive wetland areas, including a series of wells and spring-fed ponds utilized by the LaGrange Volunteer Fire Department. The risk of groundwater contamination, erosion, and soil destabilization is high. Pile driving in the area with known sinkholes and delicate geology raises red flags that have not adequately been addressed in the environmental assessment. The PSC must also consider whether a project will unreasonably interfere with orderly land use and development. This project is a direct threat to those goals. Over 1,000 acres of prime ag land will be taken out of food production for 40 plus years, at a time where more than half of American farmers will reach retirement age in the next 10 years. We should be encouraging young people to cultivate local lands. Instead, are we going to tragically displace them with industrial energy developments? My family moved here with hope of buying land soon in the area to grow food, and this project crushes those dreams. Snowmobile trails and scenic byways like Bald Bluff will be visually and physically impacted, jeopardizing tourism and outdoor recreation. Where is the plan for rerouting the snowmobile trails? And has the PSC accounted for a downtick in visitors to the area when the scenic views are no longer enjoyed by those that travel away to the Kettle Moraine, seeking respite from the hustle of the city? The procedural barriers for citizens are immense. I believe the last speaker spoke to this as well. I'm a small business owner with limited time and financial resources. Meanwhile, Whitewater Solar and Dursey employ entire teams of attorneys, consultants, and PR specialists. Citizens have to file complex paperwork, learn legal terminology, and some of which have appeared in Madison for hearings, all without compensation or institutional support. The supplemental environmental assessment remains unavailable to the public. Without a comment period, our ability to engage in this process is curtailed. I ask that the PSC ensure transparency and fairness by providing adequate time for review and requiring a full environmental impact statement. I tuned in last week to some of the hearings. Developer Drew Vielbig, I'm not certain if I'm saying his name right, stated in last week's hearings that he had a spreadsheet documenting engagement with non-participating landowners. To date, I have not seen this published. My conversations with neighbors suggest very few were contacted. This project is not in public interest. It fails to meet the criteria for the energy priority law. It disrupts orderly land use. It endangers fragile ecosystems and disempowers the very residents it claims to benefit. I urge the PSC to deny the application, require a full environmental impact statement, extend the timeline for public review and comment, and prioritize the voices of local residents over non-local submissions. As a mother-to-be, I want to build a future where my child could walk safely down the road, breathe clean air, and marvel at the deer crossing through our fields. I shouldn't have to fight a billion-dollar company to protect that future. Thank you, Judge and Commissioners, for considering this heartfelt plea. Respectfully, Molly.
Thank you. Joe, you're next. Joe, Lori Hoyt, and then Tracy Latchka. Right, Joe? Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and the truth.
I do.
All right. Name and comment.
Bultgaggio.
I-O. Okay, got it. A little more. I can probably pronounce it if I try now. Thanks. Go ahead.
My name is Joe Voltaggio. As a property owner at W2862 State Road 59, my property would be completely surrounded by solar panels. While I understand the potential benefits of solar power, I'd like to address some issues. First and foremost, I'd like to express my frustration with communications throughout this process. We've reached out multiple times with questions and concerns, left PSC comments, etc. Never met with clear, consistent answers. Each time we've contacted solar panel representatives, I seem to be passed to a different project manager or contact. Due to changes in applications submitted by the solar company, it's my understanding that our original PSC comments and concerns have been deleted, which makes me, as a property owner, question the integrity of the project and the company. In addition, I've heard numerous sources that the power generated by the solar project is being funneled to Milwaukee. It's not the local residents who are reaping any of the power or the potential benefits of the solar field. Surely there has to be better areas of operations. This could be installed rather than prime farmland in Jefferson County. I want to make it clear my family and I are against this project. I've owned this property for a number of years and finally been able to move in this year. It also seems this project has bypassed local boards, township, county level. Where is my voice to be heard? The solar project in Delavan, Darien is already trying to subsidize power use with a natural gas power plant. If this passes, here would be some of my concerns. The noise levels during construction and after solar field is operational. Noise levels during the construction phase. I'll have a newborn baby this month and concerned about how excessive noise may affect quality of life, family's well-being. Additionally, my fiance and I are planning a wedding at my property for September of 2026. I'm concerned about timing construction in relation to this significant event. Once the solar field is operational, I'm also concerned about potential noise from inverters or other equipment that will be running on the property. I would like to understand what noise levels to expect once the system is up and running, whether there be any safeguards in place to ensure the equipment operates quietly. I would also ask that any of the noisy equipment be placed as far away from possible. Looking at the current map, that does not seem to be the case now. Chemical concerns, also concerned potential for chemical exposure, particularly if there's some sort of battery leak or damage. Also, if the chemicals are sprayed on the fields to maintain the panels or around the panels. As a parent of a newborn baby, pet, and pets, I'm concerned about the health and safety risks posed by such chemicals and how it will affect us and our water supply. On the same note, EMF emission exposure is a concern. Aesthetic impact and heat in the summer. I've worked hard to maintain the natural beauty of my farm, and I'm also concerned these panels will alter the landscape in a way that is not visually appeasing, both to me and my family and my future property owner. This will surely have a negative effect on the property value. At one point it was discussed the solar company would be willing to compensate landowners or build fences, some sort of a tree fence to mitigate visual pollution, glare from the solar panels. No one has contacted me yet. Additionally, solar panels will increase the heat in the surrounding areas during the summer months. This will directly affect my property, my trees, my plants. Concerns about privacy, cameras and monitoring. Another concern is about privacy. I know that some solar fields use cameras and other monitoring equipment for security, maintenance purposes, etc. I'm concerned this would potentially infringe on the privacy of my family and my farm by being monitored on my own property without my consent. Environmental impact. Finally, I'd like to express my concern of the installation and operation of the solar field will have a negative environmental effects on the surrounding ecosystem, including water drainage, protection of the wildlife, over 20 species of trees on just my property alone, soil health, both during the project in the future and when the solar panels are no longer in use. I urge you to take a drive to the property and take a look.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Lori Hoyt. Okay, off the record. Yeah, he might have been speaking a little low. I don't have a way to do, let me see. This is not, system I usually use.
Is this louder? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't usually use this room, so. All right. So Lori Hoyt, are you the Lori Hoyt who's a party in the case?
I am Lori Hoyt. I have been a registered.
Yeah, no, we're not ready to take your comment yet.
Okay.
So, were you a party in this case? Did you file written statements for the party session?
I did not.
Okay. So, are you willing then to withdraw as a party in order to make a public?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let's get on the record. And so we have Lori Hoyt here, who is making a public comment, originally a party in the case, and it's indicated that she's withdrawing as a party in order to make a public comment. So I appreciate your cooperation with that. Let me swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. So then state your name and give us your comment. Just speak into the mic, please.
So I am Lori Hoyt. I have been a registered intervener for the project since December 2024. I am officially stepping down as an intervener so I can speak here today. I did not give testimony at the party hearing, and I will not submit a brief. I have been following the case closely since it was announced last August. I have intensely studied the persistent issues with industrial solar and am also aware of new investigations and new findings. The people intervening on this project have given countless hours of their lives to understand the issues, the process, and the seemingly devastating effects this project will have on our community. My farm is not being directly impacted by the solar sites, but I sincerely care about the people who are being disenfranchised by the process. I am also concerned about the environmental and cultural impacts industrial solar will have on our region. Finally, and perhaps most alarmingly, I am concerned about the growing national security issues surrounding industrial solar that Whitewater Solar, LLC, was not required to address in their application. As an intervener, I sat through the entire 2 days of the party hearing in Madison on July 2nd and 3rd, and can now bring you my observations. The people intervening for the community sat in a courtroom on July 2nd and 3rd for 20+ hours and presented a case for the community as best they could, considering they were up against 2 lawyers representing the Public Service Commission, 2 more lawyers representing the lobbying groups of Clean Wisconsin and Renew Wisconsin, and another 3 lawyers representing Whitewater Solar, LLC. All in all, 5 community members up against 7 lawyers navigated their way through a complicated legal process. They are local heroes. The only party not present at the party hearing were the landowners, who have the most to gain from this project. I believe they should be present and defend the decision they made to slight their neighbors and the rest of the community. It's a beautiful thing to see so many community members come through this room today. I give thanks to the commission for allowing us to come together and so humbly show you that we don't want this. This is our community, our families, and our culture at stake. I plead to the Public Service Commission to make Whitewater Solar Project Wisconsin's first and only solar project thus far to be denied. Allowing the project to move forward means too many of us will be losing our safe, rural, and independent livelihoods. The solar fields would bring about an infrastructural change that would shift the culture and the consciousness of our people. As I watched the different parties presenting their perspectives in the party hearing July 2nd and 3rd in Madison, it seems clear to me that we all agree clean energy is a unifying goal. We all want clean energy. I like solar energy when it's used to augment an individual's lifestyle. We all want greener, healthier environments. We all want a higher quality of life. How we go about achieving these goals is where we differ. To be clear, this is not a debate between people for and against clean energy. I believe this is an ideological debate about how to achieve a greener environment and a higher quality of life. Some of us believe we can educate people about the environment, make better purchasing decisions, practice conservation, buy local, keep innovating, and willingly adopt the best practices that can bring about a higher quality of life for everyone. For example, I practice regenerative farming by rotationally grazing beef cattle on 40 acres of pasture because it's good for the environment, it's good for the watersheds, the life of the animal, and the humans consuming that farm product. More conventional farmers are adopting new and better practices all the time, such as no-till, cover crops, and green manure, to name a few. All these processes develop, or as these processes develop, people can see the results, and if they are positive, continue to systematically improve on our methods. On the other hand, some of us believe installing 324,072 solar panels on 2,435 acres of local farmland, forested land, and wetlands is the way to go. To put that into perspective, there are roughly 180,000 people living in Jefferson and Walworth counties combined, so more panels than people. These panels are known to be manufactured by slaves in China of toxic materials, dumped onto our shores for costs lower than what it takes to produce them even with their slave labor, and disrupt our local ecology and culture. The industrial solar method of creating a greener future is filled with contradictions and inversions of the truth, and it is destroying human relationships and landscapes in not just our community, but communities all around the country and the world. Energy security seems to be decreasing as our reliance on solar energy increases. How did I see these contradictions play out at the hearing in Madison, July 2nd and 3rd? Let's look at a couple of expert testimonies and what they revealed. UW-Whitewater economics professor oversaw the work his students did to develop an economic impact study. From his testimony, we learned that the study did not take into account our beautiful Ice Age trail that generates tourism income in the area. The study was not done specific to the counties being affected, but rather applied to the economic benefit the project could bring to the state as a whole. His testimony also clarified that the jobs created for this project are temporary and will end when the construction of the project is complete. It was unclear how many of the jobs would be local hires. The loss of agricultural employment due to the solar being installed on farmland was not included in the study. The expert witness clearly stated that the study only included the information requested by the applicant, Whitewater Solar LLC. There were other expert witnesses who, because of the detailed cross-examination by our local intervening team, had to admit on record that their studies were not complete. I plead with the Public Service Commission to go back and do some follow-up studies on the existing projects around the state before going forward with this one. Finally, I would be remiss not to mention there are a projected 46 to 56 inverters involved in this project. The make and the model of the inverters were substituted between the original application and the revised application, possibly because of changes in technology. Each inverter is about 20 feet wide by 10 feet high and 8 feet deep, and the people living near them are concerned about the noise levels. In the same way, there are changes in the technology that contributed to an application revision. There are also informational developments. The U.S. Department of Energy, the U.S. Cybersecurity Agency, many other agencies, and recent news reports are indicating that the SunGrow inverters, as well as other inverters Canadian Solar are importing into our country from China, are being investigated for communication devices found embedded in some of them. This is a developing issue. My question is, does the potential for solar inverted related cybersecurity breaches on our electrical grid and other critical infrastructure concern the Commission? If so, can you please make this kind of study a requirement in the Whitewater Solar Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity application in order to dispel any fears the community may have?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Tracy Gletchka. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Give a shout at your name and yes, and your comment, please.
My name is Tracy Glatzik, and I live in LaGrange. I grew up in Whitewater. Sorry. My family has land, and I grew up there. My aunt and uncle, short haggers, they have animals and land that is going to be taken over. We don't live very far from it, but I am afraid that it's going to ruin our little farm that we have and all of the children in this area, their future. The habitat is going to be at a loss in the displacement of the wildlife. The soil and water contamination, how far does it go? The visual and the noise, the Kettle Moraine is going to be completely destroyed from these solar panels. The solar might create clean energy, but it's not clean for the soil from when they break from all the hail or tornado or just breaking from being old because they have a low lifespan. And after, when you have to replace them, where do they go? It doesn't, it doesn't really benefit having clean soil if they are contaminating the soil. It produces more heat and humidity, so global warming, they're all worried about global warming, but they're not really helping it. After they've been in the ground for so long, you can't really plant anything after that, because it takes a little bit longer. So the farmers might want to sell their land, but if their grandchildren want to have that land back and plant, they actually have to wait even longer. There are other ways to put up solar panels, not just using our land that we use to plant food, and usually it's built in unusable land like landfills and deserts, or on top of buildings or parking garages. Building a solar farm is high cost. Who's paying for it? What will it do to the property value? We are forced to be paying for this. And it's going to be too close to homes. It is going to be surrounding my aunt and uncle's house, and they're not happy about it. I haven't really gotten any information on the solar farm thing, so I don't know how big it's going to be, if it's small or big scale farm, but it's supposed to be 0.3 miles away from houses if it's a large scale farm, and if it's a small scale farm, it's supposed to be 0.12 miles away from houses. So I don't know how far they are. Everybody had great statements, so mine is not really that great compared to theirs, but they all did a wonderful job. And I hope this solar company really listens to us. And
Thanks very much. We have a few more slips left here. Jay St. John is next, and Jeremy Jacobs, and one more over there that I can't read yet. John Stikowski. Okay. So that's the three I have left. Get your slips to commission staff if you do want to be on the list to speak. Otherwise, there is an opportunity to file a written comment up until Friday. Okay. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. Let's get you sworn in. Raise your right hand. You okay? You want to take a second here?
I breathe like this all the
Okay.
time.
All right. Just want to make sure. So do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. State your name and give us your comment.
J. St. John. My address is W7535 Bluff Road. My property is not that big. It's like 10 acres. The house is going to butt up right against these panels. I'm already suffering from cancer. I've been fighting since 2019, so I don't need any more. But I have never been contacted by any of these people at all about regards to a fence along the property line. I have some goats, a hobby of mine, and a couple ducks now. The pastures butt right up against the property line where these guys are going. My house is roughly 75 feet from where the property line is. So how am I going to be affected with this and not even been contacted at all? And what kind of fence are they going to put up between my property and these panels? I just kind of jotted down some points before I got here, so you'll have to excuse me. I really didn't do any deep research other than the fact that it's a total waste of money. Funding's been pulled, and who's going to pay for this nonsense? I mean, are our taxes going to go up because of it? And we're not going to really benefit from this. So, I mean, that's about all I have to really say. The big disappointing part is they never ever contacted me. And I like it up here. I've been here for 3 years, and it was like my little slice of heaven. I don't need a bunch of damn panels by my house. I have enough trouble. I don't want to put an extra foot in the grave just yet by the toxicity that these are going to produce. You know, I have to go in for a treatment every week to keep the cancer at bay. So Are they gonna pay for my doctor bills? Just asking. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for your time. It's okay.
All right, Jeremy Jacobs is next, and then John Stikowski. Swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes,
Give us your name and comment. Speaking to the mic.
my name's Jeremy Jacobs. Don't have a lot of formal content prepared, just want to share some concerns. Properties on Bluff Road, it will be surrounded on two sides by the solar project and by a neighboring field that's landowners signed up to participate. That area can be plagued with water issues. I've known the property for probably 40 years now, and there's been times where there's cattails and lots of wetlands, and a lot of work has been done by on their property to mitigate those water concerns. My property benefited from some of that. I fear that these panels and the construction of them are going to undo some of those gains. I have a wife and a 7-year-old daughter. I have concerns about stray voltage and magnetic fields produced by these. I am the product of living under power lines. We have high tension power lines that go over the property now. So I have concerns about those in themselves, let alone be coupled up with more electrical products in the area. Have concerns about the noise, the inverters. Understand that the inverters themselves are quite loud, but they rely on barriers and distance in between the inverter and the homeowners to try to dissipate that noise. So I have concerns about that. And I know that so we recently, my grandpa had passed away last summer, and so we had taken possession of the property in, I don't know, somewhere August, October timeline. And on some of the maps, I know it's still listed in my grandparents' names, grandma having passed away over 10 years ago. So I'm not sure that we've gotten all the correspondences that have been associated with the project. So just wanted to share my concerns, and thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. All right, John Stikowski. Looks like we have a couple more forms coming in, so keep them coming. All right, John, let me swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, give us your name.
John Stikowski, Stachowski.
And you're John Stikowski that had intervened in the case?
Yes, I am declining or resigning from the intervener position so I can make this comment today.
Okay, so
And my wife will remain.
will remain. Okay, let me just check. So you did file a document with the commission, so I'm going to withdraw that one, and then you'll make your comment here instead. Okay, just want to make sure I understand. All right, go ahead.
So my piece of this puzzle, as we've gone through this whole process, is try to get a handle on what this does to real estate values. You know, we've heard that my house will be worthless, or if you listen to some of the reporting, that your value could even go up. I've heard that from a couple of the opponents or the project directors.
So just going to interrupt. Could you scooch closer to the mic? People are complaining they couldn't hear.
All right. So anyway, I started looking through these the studies that they gave us, and I'm not a statistician, but I have some experience with this sort of thing. So the first report that they offered was the Cohn-Resnick valuations, and this was issued, or they were directed by Ranger Power to have this done for them. And I've been, for the life of me, I cannot find in here, which is what I'm looking for, is property to property before and after analysis. So my first point of contention with both of these studies is the closest they come to a adjacent property. By the way, my house has got a solar panel across 59 on my south side and my west side. So having said that, it is meaningful that having the fences this close and hoping there's some setback relief here. But anyway, reading through this first document, the Colton Resnick one, it doesn't identify any property that was this close. And they rely on statements of other, the people in Wisconsin, assessor's office is Fitchburg. But nothing, their argument is that, well, nothing happened, nothing sold, so that means that prices didn't go down. Same thing with near the Badger Hollow solar project. Their Resnick implies that, well, because no property was sold, therefore it had no effect. Well, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for something that sold before and after. Your house before a solar project, did it just lose 20 grand because it's there now? And there's several other examples of this. Point Beach, same thing. No change to how properties are assessed, but nothing sold again. So the quality of their information is lacking. Now I'm sure there's along with the resumes of several of the people that wrote this. There's tons of statistics, but I don't see where they confirm anywhere the specific adjoining property land values. The second document that is on the docket produced is an enormous study that is in total about 26 different states, covers about half the total installed megawatt capacity in the country. And they go on about how these solar farms don't have an impact. However, again, being the guy that's got something behind me, next to me, and across the road from me, I find in the details that, however, in this document, there's nothing in Wisconsin. So I can't refer to Wisconsin as the test market. But in Minnesota and Michigan, which are the two states in one of their conclusions here, a significant negative effect of 4 to 5.6%, more than double that of the average across the states across the states in the base model. So here, they actually do dig into a little closer to, and the most significant part of this.
Hang on, just before you start reading that, just slow down when you're reading, because she's trying to keep up with you.
Okay. Yeah, I get a little nervous at these.
That's all right. Take your time.
And this tells us more than double that of average across all state-based models. When they examine land that was used prior as farmland. So as our property is in Yvette's and that whole road down there, that was all farmland, and the properties were then carved out of the farmland to build the houses. So it specifically defines those as the most affected land. So I wanted to bring that out because there is a difference between those that are so close and those that are far away. If you told me that there's going to be a solar farm and it's going to be half a mile away from you, I'm not crazy about the private ag land and all of the other arguments, but from a pure, what's my property going to do? Half a mile is a long way. I'm less concerned at that. At 20 feet, now I saw the revised map 2-3 weeks ago, and there's a significant improvement in that. So anyway, there was a third report where it actually they actually made the statement that I don't have a copy of it, says solar panels may actually increase property value. However, if you read through that far enough, you'll come to a line by one of the emeritus professors that helped write it. And it says, of course, we're not talking about properties that are 200 feet away from the solar panels. Those should never be seen. That was his comment in this report. So I've done a lot of work kind of trying to study what the effect of this on property values, because a lot of people in this room have got property close. I don't know what the local guys are saying. Did talk with one and one of the local real estate agents, and he's concerned. He's unsure like everyone else, but I don't know if I put any major improvements into my house right now, not knowing. especially where you guys are, so. But again, at the last, the open house for interveners or roundtable for interveners did display, encouraging efforts to mitigate some of that.
All right, thanks. So before you leave, I just wanted to make sure, so what I understand is that Pam Stikowski is going to remain a party in the case. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure, because you didn't appear at the party session.
Right.
There were no cross-examination questions for you. But in order for me to receive Pam's testimony, I need to have her verify this testimony with an affidavit.
Okay.
So it needs to be filed on our ERF system, a notarized affidavit saying that the filing is complete and correct to the best of her knowledge. Okay, so to make sure everyone understands that I can't receive it unless I get that verification. Okay, all right, so she's okay, excellent, thanks. Okay, who do we have here? All right, so next up is Rebecca Fredericks. Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, speak into the mic and go. Give us your name and comment.
Thank you. I do have some notes in my phone, so if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you guys hear me? So my name is Rebecca Fredericks. I actually don't live here. I live in Mugwanago, Wisconsin. I'm a city dweller, and I spend about half of my time here because of the relationship that I found myself in. So I am actually here a lot of the time, and I consider myself sort of a part-time resident. But my official residence is in Mugwanago. So I do get to escape the NIMBY or not in my backyard argument because my backyard is actually in town, and I would welcome solar to come to my home and put it on my roof because I think it's where it belongs. Yes, I can try. I do speak quickly. Okay. I feel that there is a time and a place for solar. I'm not against that, but I think this is absolutely the wrong place. And the people of this community have expressed time and again that it's not the right time, and it hasn't. The time needed to understand this project clearly has not been provided. I feel strongly about the project for a number of reasons. I'm an avid hiker. I've hiked the entire Ice Age Trail segment through all of Walworth, Jefferson, and Waukesha counties with an eventual goal of hopefully completing the entire trail through my lifetime. I've been on all the trails through the county, and I know and have seen where this project would impact and would change the experience of the Ice Age Trail, and that concerns me. I kayak on the waters in this area. I fish, I hunt, I've harvested animals from the land surrounded by this project, and I, as a natural resource lover, grew up in the Northwoods. I believe in the value of natural lands in the state. I feel like that's something the state is known for. It's part of our culture. And to lose those areas or to endanger those animals is against sort of the culture and the beliefs of the state. I'm a gardener as well, and I share the concerns that other people have raised about the quality of the soil. Soil is a natural resource. It's identified as such by the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is a national organization. Soil can't be replaced. Once it's damaged, once it's removed, it will not be recovered in the same way. I think that to discredit or consider how much that would be changed by this project is negligent at best. And I feel like it's dishonest at worst. One of the concerns that I have been listening in as a public observer to the party hearings and the project, they proposed project, they haven't really discussed how much would be graded, how much the land would be changed, the groundwater, the stormwater runoff, none of that is really well explained yet at this stage of the project. So those people who are directly adjacent really can't anticipate what that might look like for them, and the loss of farmable lands long-term, that reality, that is truth. I think that is 40 years from now, it's hard to say what that land's going to look like, but it definitely will be changed from what it is now, which is over 90%, I think closer to 96% in this project, prime farmland. The Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission did recently upload a file saying that their priority is preserving in ag land, and this project is largely that. It is against their proposal, their plan. They discourage the loss of this farmland because there isn't more of it to be made, as we all know. And so there have been statements by other organizations that this project itself is not ideal. It's not just you guys saying that. I think there's other organizations saying it. I think the PSC needs to listen to those statements.
You just take a break first.
I think the PSC needs to consider all of those statements that are being made in support of maintaining and preserving soil as a natural resource.
Okay, so can you slow down when you're speaking? Thanks.
I think that farming culture matters.
Slow down when you're speaking.
Still?
Yes.
I thought that was pretty good.
Didn't really change at all.
All right. I think,
There we go.
I believe farming culture does matter. Over 50% of the land in the state is farmed or is an ag, and it's something that we're known for. The threats to farming in this state are already huge: costs, overhead, things like that. And I think that's evident by the number of farmers in this project that have elected to lease their land instead of continuing to farm it. For those people that hope to farm or wish to farm or are hoping to continue farming, this project makes that more challenging. And this is not the only county in the state facing those threats. There's been a lot of people talking about residential home value changes. And I can certainly tell you that if I were to be faced with having to purchase the Tillett's home or Farmer John's home in the future, I wouldn't choose to do that if it was surrounded by the fields and fenced fields, barbed wire topped fences, and solar panels. I would choose to live here. I wouldn't choose to live there. As a farmer's girlfriend, I can tell you that the loss of farmland makes existing farmland much, much more expensive. So the ability to expand a farm, to continue farming becomes much more challenging. So the idea that property values go up, it goes up in probably the wrong way. We depend on farmers, we depend on food. There's some arguments that say we have enough food production, but I would say that given the world climate and the changes to like our relationships with foreign countries, who we do depend on at this time for our food, losing access to farmable land within our own country threatens our stability. And I think we need to consider long-term what that looks like for us.
Record. Take a breath.
Finally, all of this is really not what I'm best at. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 25 years, and my expertise is people. And through those 25 years, I've worked all over the state, including northern Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Madison. I teach nursing now. I teach at Waukesha County Technical College, and I've been privy to much human suffering, and it's been an honor for me to be with people in some of their hardest moments. It's a real gift, I think, my career is, and I'm grateful for it. And I've seen people in this community suffering from what they fear is already going to happen to their lifestyles. There is a theory in healthcare called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the most foundational need for humans is safety. Far beyond food, shelter, or the potential to become the best version of yourself, people need to feel safe. And the people in this community do not feel safe. They feel like their water is threatened, their privacy, they feel like their children, the children they provide care for, the children they're carrying and hoping to birth into this community, they feel like they're threatened. So for me, when I look at what's happening and I watch these people crying and trying not to cry when they come to these hearings, I see fear and I see threats to safety. I think it's incredibly brave to come and speak eloquently about those things, and I feel like they need to be heard. I'm not sure that many of them have much confidence in the PSC that they will be heard. The psychological stress of this experience, long before the fields actually get changed and the panels go in, is already changing people's lives and damaging them now. It's heartbreaking to watch, and it's, as a person dedicated to alleviating human suffering for the past 2.5 decades, it pains me to watch this. What I did hear last week when I attended the party hearings, both in person and via Zoom, is that there is a way to minimize the impact to human lives by moving much of this project to the alternative areas that are included in this application. The alternative areas are many acres. I don't want to speak to a number because I think it's like 200 acres, but I could be wrong, that are more removed from residential homes, and that could largely mitigate any impacts to the people who have sat up here or been on Zoom or spoken on the internet about their fears for their homes. But the applicant has expressed some objections. We haven't heard exactly what those are to using those alternate areas. And what it comes down to, in my perception, is that there's an expense of some kind that they're not willing to take on. And what I hear in that argument is that money is more important than people. And I think that needs to be further explored. Whatever the barriers are to moving away from the human beings affected by this project need to be overcome. And that needs to be strongly considered by the PSC. I think the transparency is lacking, and that's where the lack of trust is coming from. I know my neighbors have not heard about this project from people other than us, and that's a shame. It's a real disservice to the community. So, please come talk to us in McGuanago. You can put it on my house. But I would encourage you guys to move away from the people who have chosen to stand up here and speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, a couple more appearance slips. Okay. Cheryl Rodenkirk. Rodenkirk. Yes. Had a capital K. It looked like it was a separate.
No.
Okay. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. I wasn't going to speak, so
That's okay.
this is just notes and it's jumbled.
Just state your name first.
My name is Sherry Rodenkirk. I live in Palmyra, so I'm not directly affected by this. However, I believe that prime farmland is in danger of disappearing forever. And I think that people's homes and properties that are adjacent to it are at risk, high risk. I'm concerned about the wildlife that are going to be affected. I'm concerned about the water, the artesian wells that are going to be affected. I'm very worried about that. The Kettle Moraine and the Ice Age Trail, Palmyra was just awarded the Ice Age Trail. I don't know if it was an award or whatever, but you know, people are going to come here because of that. And I drive to Palmyra a lot, and that's what I'm going to see is all of these solar panels, and that is not beautiful. That does nothing for our culture. I think you're just taking away farmland that will never come back to us. I'm not anti-solar. I think there's a place for solar. I think what's happening is it's too much too fast, and there's no real known what's going to happen. Is this really going to work? What's going to happen in 10 years? What's this going to look like? Are those artesian wells that people have been getting water from for the last 40 years, are they going to be affected? Are people's farms that are adjacent to this area, are their drain tiles going to be damaged? Are they going to have flooding? Are the roads going to flood? Because I don't think there's been enough studying on this. I don't think there's been a, what do they call it, an environmental study needs to be done. I don't think that enough time has been taken to do all that. I think this project lacks transparency. I don't think a lot of people know about it. I think it was a backdoor deal done before anybody knew it even came out. And all of a sudden now it's like, it's almost too late to do anything, and people are finding out about it. You're seeing all these no solar farms all down the roads, different roads. And, you know, before you even had a chance to do anything about it, it's done. It's like a sealed deal. That's what it feels like. I hope and I pray that's not true. The health issues are concerned, you know, with what other people have said, the toxic chemicals, the EF, whatever they are, that initial. As a result of the panels, what are they going to do when they need to be recycled? Are people going to actually pay the higher dollar to recycle them, or are they going to go into a landfill? You know, I think from what I understand, there was a plan in place and all of a sudden it got changed at the last minute and postcards went out, and I don't think the people that received the postcards got them in time to even attend whatever it was on the postcard. I didn't get one because, like I said, I'm in Palmyra. But I think that's bad business. I think that's dishonest and it's underhanded. And I think there needs to be more transparency, and I think the local governments also need to be involved.
And I think that they were totally cut out. I think people were totally cut out. And I don't think that's right. So I hope that PSC denies this, at least for the time being, requires an environmental impact study and gives people the proper time to respond. So with that, that's all I have to say.
Thanks.
Thank
for
you.
your comment. All right, Peter Galoretto. Okay, and then Lila Estelle. Again, Litza. All right, Peter, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, what's your name and comment?
I'm Peter Galretto. I live on 59 Old Spring. I'm probably the only one who's been in a solar farm before. Over in Jefferson. Yeah. Help me get this on.
Kinda got it there. Oh, there's the camera.
Oh,
There we go.
okay. There we are. There we are. At the Crawfish Solar, they obviously did their environmental impact and study, and they still allowed that to happen. It was the worst working conditions of my life. I would never want to see it happen again.
So you worked on it to make sure you
Floor BE shell
okay.
as a cell. So I just want to share those pictures. So, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
That's well. Hold on, I have more.
Well,
I got more.
So let's just go off the record. So unfortunately, the commissioners aren't going to be able to see those.
That's
so
fine. I care about these people.
yeah, but so this is meant to.
And where is that at?
Jefferson. Let's pass it around.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. You can talk about this as much as you want after the hearing, but if that, you got to say what you wanted to say, but if you guys want to meet after the hearing and share pictures, that's up to you guys.
Yes, they shouldn't be allowed to put it in. They have no idea what they're doing.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Why did you do that?
Now, guys, off the record, we can't do a back and forth question and answer. I'm sorry. You guys can discuss this, and then if you want to file public written comment after, you still have until Friday. So no. Let's be, all right. No, I just can't accept pictures. I'm sorry, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you to step down. All right, so we have Lila. Let's get on the record. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, give us your name and comment. Oh, yeah, sure.
So, I just want to say, okay,
I can barely hear you, but I'm right here.
okay. So I just want to say to everyone who spoke, fantastic job. I had to stop myself from clapping. I didn't know if it's an appropriate thing to clap. It's my first hearing. I never thought that I'd be attending one ever. But this does affect the land that I live on. I'm a local, born and raised, and now I go to UW Whitewater, and I'm a senior there for social work. Once again, I never thought that I'd be going to one of these, but my aunt and uncle have lived here for almost about 50 years, I want to say. My grandparents used to live right across the street from them. They got married at that property. And it's just very dear to our hearts. We own a small bird farm, and we live on Duffin Road. We are not directly impacted, but the surrounding areas will be impacted soon if Whitewater is. Whitewater is big. Palmyra, I went to high school in Palmyra. That is a completely agricultural town. We run on agriculture. That is all we are. So if we are taking farms here, Palmyra's next. And what's after that? So where will we go? And if we don't want the solar power here in the solar, we are against solar power. We don't want these solar farms taking over our agricultural land because that is what we are based on.
This whole area of Wisconsin is based on that agricultural land. And I just want to say that the Swedish have actually been placing solar panels on railroad tracks as a something else to do instead of taking over our farms that is completely usable in destroying our farmland for generations to come. The Swedish have that amazing idea to use it on the railroad tracks. And then our cars, they overheat all the time. Why can't we put the solar panels above parking lots? Because we always want to park under a tree. You don't want your car to overheat. That is just an alternative so that we don't have to use our agricultural land. And I do want to say those who do want this project, they don't actually live here, it seems. Every single voice that I've heard today is actually against this. So those who do want it seem to live outside of here, like Milwaukee, I think I heard, Kenosha, Racine areas. But the people who don't want this are the locals. We're fearful. We're fearful of contamination, illness, gases, and ruining the backbone of Whitewater, which is agriculture and the backbone to other neighboring towns. If we are the ones who don't want this, who does this benefit? We locals, we do try to improve the land and we make ecological decisions. Tourists come from Illinois to ride their bikes here. I mean, who does that? Sometimes we get a little annoyed of them because who drives like that? But they won't be coming here if Wisconsin reminds them of Illinois. Why don't they just be riding their bikes there? We'll be having less tourism. And then my family, to close this up, my family has always told me on car rides to stop looking at my 3DS because the land that we are driving past will be covered in buildings one day. And of course I never listened. I want to play Mario, okay? But now I have been finding myself looking at our land a little differently and paying closer attention because I was never expecting these solar farms to pop up so quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to keep that.
Oh, yes, I need that sheet back. John, you're on. All right. Someone has to. Right, that's all the appearance slips I have. Anyone else wish to speak that has not had a chance to do so? And we have Chris who said on Zoom, who said they did not want to make a comment. So I'm gonna, it's another opportunity. If you want to unmute, I can take your comment now.
I am good, thank you.
So at this point, we have everyone we can take comments from, and I will try to display the notice for everyone here. So notice the hearing does allow for written comments still up until February, until Friday, July 11th. So get your comments in online is your best bet, or you can mail them to us. We just need to get them by Friday. So thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate your comments and your attention, your patience, and your respect. We're adjourned. Take care.
Thank you for grabbing